Live from Lake City Community College Television and WCJX Radio, it's In the Zone with Shane Edge and Trey Hosford, Columbia County's first live all-sports talk show. In the Zone is brought to you by Project Catch, Columbia Acting Together for Children. Join Shane and Trey with your phone calls now at 754-4371. And now, live from the In the Zone studios at Lake City Community College, it's Shane Edge and Trey Hosford.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the final edition of In the Zone for this year, sponsored by Project Catch. I'm Trey Hosford.
And I'm Shane Edge. Tonight we'll show some of the highlights of the past year on this show.
Our very first show, way back in August, featured some special guests.
Melinda Moses, an athletic director at Columbia High, and John Wilson, the AD at Fort White, were here to talk about the athletic programs at each school. And we also showed a preview of the CHS Tigers and Coach Mike Hunter's Fort White team.
This is our defense. We lost everybody but 2 starters off our defense, and that's where the young guys come in. We're going to start several sophomores and even a freshman on our defensive squad. So, we've got some experience, but we've got a lot of young people too.
We will tweak the offense some this year. We've made some visits to certain places, and we're going to be running some things that we feel like our kids are going to enjoy. We feel like it will be exciting for the fans, and we feel like that we can do a good job with that. We probably, as the season progresses, we'll get better.
Unfortunately, the Indians didn't have a very good year, winning just 1 game all season. The Tigers, though, made it to the semifinals of the Class 4A state championship. The next week, we had some trouble with our phone lines. We were still trying to work out the bugs and couldn't make a connection with Florida coach Ron Zook. One more time. Here we go. Coach Zook, are you with us? Coach Zook. Coach Zook. Shane, you try it.
Coach Zook, what I do, bud, is hope that you get on the line. Well, that week we also had Lake City reporter, sports writer Tim Kirby as our guest as we ran down the top 25 teams in college football. None of us predicted USC and LSU would be the national co-champions.
On August 29th last year, we had a feature on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we had a video of their preseason game against Washington. Who knew that soon after the game, Danny Werfel would be playing his last game in the NFL? Shane and I also made our predictions for the Super Bowl. Shane, let's get right into the playoffs. I mentioned who I thought was going to the Super Bowl, yep. And I mentioned it from the NFC and my Philadelphia Eagles, AFC, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, I have the Titans, Trey. I have the Titans going up against the St. Louis Rams. Obviously, Warner's got to stay healthy, and if the Rams get to that point, I don't think it's going to be the same outcome. I think Eddie George and Steve McNair are going to take it home.
So you're saying the Rams. I'm really glad you said that. I know you're a Falk guy, and that lets me know something that I need to know about you, that you're sticking to your guns, okay? Going with that gut feeling. Who's going to be your MVP?
I think the MVP, although, I think I'm going to throw a little wrench into what you're just now talking about, maybe my fantasy pick, but I think the MVP of the league will be Ricky Williams.
The MVP of the league is going to be Donovan McNabb, and it's going to be simply because the Eagles get on his back, they go to the Super Bowl, and they win it.
Well, we have to take a break right now on In the Zone. We have more of the best of the show when we come back after the timeout. You're watching In the Zone on Lake City Community College TV and the X.
After Demetric Jackson graduated from Columbia High School and the University of Florida, he wanted to come back to his hometown of Fort White and do something for the community. And that's what he did. Jackson has been a PE teacher at Fort White High for 4 years.
I'm also very involved in our church. I'm president of our association through the Congress of Christian Education. I'm the youth president. I'm also the president of our usher board, Sunday school superintendent, and civic duties. I'm city councilman here at Fort White, which is serving my 2nd term.
Jackson is assistant football coach, head girls basketball coach, and head track coach. Athletic director John Wilson says he's an asset to the program.
Coach Jackson represents Fort White. They know he's a local. They know that he did the exact same things that they want to do, and so they look at him as an icon.
Demetric Jackson, this week's Character Spotlight.
My name is Terry Roberts. My name is Terry Roberts. My name is Terry Roberts.
Identity theft can happen to anyone. Protect yourself. Shred documents containing personal information like credit card numbers before trashing them. Keep personal information confidential and mail bills from a post office or other mailbox, not from your home.
My name is Terry Roberts. My identity was stolen, but I still have a voice. If you're a victim, contact your local law enforcement agency and visit this website.
Every 9 seconds in this country, a woman is battered by her husband or boyfriend. For many, leaving home in a bad situation seems like it's not an option. For many, there is hope and help available through Another Way Incorporated. Another Way Incorporated is a certified center that assists survivors of domestic and sexual violence and their families. If you need help, call Another Way Incorporated at 1-800-500-1119. The services are free and confidential. You and your children have a right to live free of violence.
Welcome back to In the Zone. In September, we highlighted the volleyball team at Columbia High along with the swim team and the cross-country team. None of these teams competed for their state championship, but have high hopes for next season.
Also in September, Shane and I had a discussion of the Florida-Tennessee game played at the Swamp. Shane didn't like the play calling for the Gators.
I've said it from day one. I went to the orange and blue game when they first came in, and they threw about 12 or 13 wide receiver screens. Okay, I didn't go down there to watch that. I didn't go down there to watch it last year, and I certainly don't want to watch it anymore.
Before you jump on Zombrecker, I mean, let's start from the top, okay? Above Zombrecker, you got Zook. Point a finger at Ron Zook, but I say you go further than Ron Zook. All the Gator fans are Zook, no. Jeremy Foley hired him. Jeremy Foley needs to make a decision if he's going to fire him or come forward and say, this is my man. He's going to be my man, because he made the decision. So everybody, if they want to point the finger, you can't just go to the coaching staff. The coaching staff wants to win more than anybody sitting at home or anybody sitting in those bleachers. They're doing what they can. And all you Gator fans want to jump on Zook. What happened last time Spurrier played Tennessee in Gainesville? He waved goodbye and he didn't win.
But 90,000 people in that stadium Saturday didn't want to go watch a bubble screen and a lead draw from the shotgun. That's not how you win a ball game.
They went to the game knowing that's what they were going to see. Did you know before the game that was going to happen?
No, I did not. Nobody knows that's going to happen because everybody in the stadium knows that you cannot win a ball game like that. As September came to a close, Trey and I made our predictions for the World Series.
Boston Red Sox, I have them getting there, but I got my Cubs, and I got my Cubs winning it in 6.
Well, you know, Trey, obviously I have the Braves going, and the Braves I'm a homer for the Braves, but they're going to win, but they're going to beat the Yankees. The Yankees have too much money invested in that team not to make it to the World Series again, but we are going to win that series.
In October, Shane and I again made predictions, this time in the Miami-Florida State game played that month. We both said FSU will come out on top.
Also in October, we had legendary sports broadcaster and the Lake City native Pat Summerall to call into the show.
Not everybody knows you're from Lake City. You were a Columbia High graduate in 1948, and you played several sports here at Columbia High School. What were some of the memorable sporting events you played in as a high school athlete?
Gosh, I don't know. Probably when I was playing basketball, we won the state championship, I think, in 1947, and got beaten in the finals in 48, I think it was something like that. Those are probably the two highlights. We played football, but we didn't have much of a football team.
And in October, for the first time ever, Fort White and Columbia High squared off on the football field. Our guests in the studio were CHS coach Danny Green and Fort White head coach Mike Hunter, who were here to talk about the big game.
You know, they understand our kids, you know, been around Columbia County, and they know the tradition and the power and strength that Columbia High has. So many of our guys played with the players at Columbia High when they were in middle school, so they know a lot of them, they're related to a lot of them, and so, you know, they're excited about the fact of playing against them, but they also realize that, you know, it's a big team, powerful team, and, you know, we're just going to try to do the very best job that we can.
And, you know, the way we're approaching the ball game, we prepare for Fort White just like we do for everyone. We try to get as prepared to the best of our ability. We try to have our kids prepared. It's like Mike said, that our senior group especially, when they were in middle school, a lot of them had the opportunity to play together and went undefeated, if I'm not mistaken, during their 7th and 8th grade year. But, you know, we're looking at this ball game as a big ball game for us. We're hoping for a big crowd. We know the community's been looking forward to this.
In November, we featured a preview of the 2003-2004 Florida Gator basketball team.
And the
question on everyone's mind was, how is Coach Billy Donovan going to replace the senior leadership he had last year with 4 freshmen, 6 sophomores, 2 juniors, and 1 senior?
With regards to leadership this year, that's something that I think we as coaches got to try to develop and cultivate over a period of time, because we are relatively young. But even though a guy like Roberson or Matt Walsh are young, they still have, I think, very, very good leadership skills.
Also in November, my old college teammate Chris Doing called into the show. Chris is a receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Talk about the struggling offense, and is this Arizona just what the Dot ordered for you guys?
Well, as you know, I mean, anytime you have problems with the offensive line, it makes it difficult to do much of anything on offense. So we've had some injuries and some guys not playing as well as would have been expected. So for whatever reason, we've had protection problems, and that's, Tommy's been on his back quite a bit this year and hadn't had the time that he had last year when he was so successful, and our running game really hadn't done much to open up the passing game either. So you're exactly right when you say Arizona was what the doctor ordered, because we ended a 5-game losing streak. We're at the portion of our schedule where we feel like we can get on a roll now.
Also in November, we had a feature on the Columbia High girls bowling team, and the week before the FSU Florida game, former Seminole receiver Matt Fryer was our guest on the show to talk about the game.
FSU's defense, I think that's going to be another key to the game. Mm-hmm. They give up 15 points per game, 108 yards rushing, 209 yards passing. Michael Bower leads the team with 97 tackles. A couple of Lake City guys. Jerome Carter is third with 70 tackles, and you got Kendall Pope, 7th with 48 tackles.
Shane, I'll be honest with you. I think it goes deeper. I think that defense is fantastic. Mm-hmm. I really do. And I'm an offensive-minded person. I played wide receiver. Right. But I think it's going to come down to how bad a position Florida State's offense puts our defense in. Right. How many minutes are they keeping it? If we can't establish the running game and we're keeping that defense on the field for long periods of time.
Right. I said from day one, if you can't run the ball, you really can't win, no matter what level you are.
The following week after the game, former Florida Gator Jason Odom was here, and we took exception with the officiating of the Seminole game.
And let me say this first. I'm not going to sit here and whine and say we should have won.
I can do that. I can do that.
I'm going to say we definitely could have won the game regardless. But what I am saying is it is one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen in my life, and it's more one-sided than any game I've ever seen.
I agree. The biggest thing that I could kind of share to kind of clue you in as to how it feels that you think about games, and I look at what we did in Arkansas against Arkansas this year, and I kind of felt bad the way that game ended for them.
Right.
And so when I look at games, I'm going to be fair, and to look at this game, this had no resemblance of fair.
Right.
And it just was so frustrating to be there and not to see some calls. People are going to make mistakes, but very rarely are you in a game where you see that many made and that one-sided.
I agree, and when you go and you see a game like this, there's going to be 1 or 2 calls that affect the outcome of a game. Every game, it doesn't matter what game you're in. But this game had 6 to 7 calls that went, opposite of Florida, and I'm not going to say it cost them the game because we still had a chance to win the game. I would have just loved to have seen what would happen if we got a couple of those fumbles.
In December, we recapped the final game of the CHS football season as the Tigers lost to Lake Gibson to end their quest for a state championship, and we also had a preview of the Tigers boys soccer team.
After the season was over, Columbia High football players Rashawn Jones and George Timmons were guests on the show. Trey and I talked about the list of colleges that they had narrowed down to and find out who they were going to play football for next year.
Is this heading somewhere? I mean, can we look for you guys to sign Florida State and Miami? I won't make you guys answer that right now. But
I do want about the options.
I do want to get your top 5, a list of your top 5 right now, though.
My top 5, I have to say is Miami, North Carolina, Syracuse, Clemson, and South Florida.
Okay, all right. Now, George, I know you have a lot of the same schools and a lot, a few different schools. So.
Yes, I have North Carolina, Miami, Georgia, Iowa State, and LSU.
Well, both George and Rashawn signed with Miami, and we'll be seeing them on Saturdays next year. We have to take another break. We'll be right back with more. You're watching In the Zone on Lake City Community College Television and the X.
Chan, my big brother. We used to do all this really fun stuff, like he plays soccer with me and take me places. But now, he doesn't do much of anything. Well, he smokes marijuana.
When you smoke pot, everyone feels the effect.
So my kid brother and his friends want to party. Heck, I'll even buy the beer. Besides, if he gets out of line, he has to answer to me.
2.6 million teenagers don't know a person can die from alcohol overdose. Say nothing, do nothing, stop nothing.
Okay, so sometimes I turn my back on my kids when they drink at home. At least they're not doing drugs.
Underage drinkers are 50 times more likely to use cocaine than those who don't drink alcohol. Say nothing, do nothing, stop nothing.
My name is Lauren Ward Larson, and like 4.5 million other Americans, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for life-saving blood transfusions. 16 months ago, I almost died from an illness following an emergency C-section. Throughout this time, I received an enormous amount of blood, thanks to more than 200 people who made sure it was available in my community. These quiet heroes not only saved a new mom, they saved an entire family.
Life South Community Blood Centers. It's about life.
I'm honored to speak on behalf of the United Way, a great American institution of charity and compassion. The United Way operates on a simple premise, that strong communities provide hope and opportunity. Every American has a responsibility to help a neighbor in need. Your active compassion shows the true spirit of America, a most generous and caring nation. I encourage all Americans to support their local United Way, and may God continue to bless America.
Welcome back to In the Zone. In January, we had a chance to preview Trey's CHS basketball team.
I'm really excited and pleased with the way the guys have acted this year. I think it's a good group of guys, and they're working well together, and we've got great leadership, I feel, with Bryant and Kendrick being our co-captains. And, Bryant, he's a senior. Kendrick's only a junior. But Kendrick, that's where our offense runs through him. Right. And Kendrick's played great this year. He can play better, but the last 2 weeks he's really picked his game up. He's not turning the ball over. And, we got a lot of young kids. We got a freshman that started like 7 games, and Byron Shimwell, who's actually got the highest three-point percentage on the team. Alvin Bradley, a junior guard that's playing great. He's averaging a little over 8 points a game. Your brother Joey's played great, and Joey's one of those guys that didn't play as a junior, but now he's out as a senior, and he's helped us out. But, several guys, Nick Waiters, Teddy Tomlin, Antoine Jokes, everybody's really contributed to get us to where we're at. Our crack research staff here at In the Zone dug through the archives and found video of my partner Shane Edge signing a scholarship with the Florida Gators back in 1991.
In a ceremony at Columbia High School yesterday, punter Shane Edge signed a letter of intent to play college football at the University of Florida. Edge talks about the opportunity to play for the Gators.
It feels good just, to get everything finished, and hopefully next year I'll be playing for the Gators. Starting for the Gators.
Edge's signing marks the first Division I signing of a Tiger since Scott Adams signed to play for the Georgia Bulldogs. Coach Joe Montgomery.
We're certainly very proud of him. He's deserved it. He's worked very hard, and he's going to have a great career at the University of Florida.
Edge will enroll at the university in the spring and will compete for the first-string punting job during spring drills.
Well, Trey, as you know, you guys got me pretty well, but as you know, I don't like to get got without getting back. So the crack staff here at In the Zone put together a little footage of you coaching your basketball team, and as I go to watch you. I like watching the boys play, but just the enthusiasm that you have, I just enjoy watching. You get very excited. You got to lose about 2 pounds a game, or 3 pounds, 4 or 5.
I don't know which game this is. I think it looks like it's Middleburg, so I couldn't have been too upset, though, Shane.
You look like you're playing, though. Look at you. That's a bad call right there.
Terrible. It was right there in front of the bench. I know I didn't miss that one.
If your guys put as much effort into it as you did, I don't think they would lose a game.
Well, if you look, we got Armand hitting. My hands are up a little higher than his, and he's on the floor.
Yeah. See, that's what a good coach does. He instructs his guy. We got a bad call again. All right. You got to get loose. You got to get that jacket. Oh, my goodness. Another bad call.
It seemed like all year we were getting bad calls, but you got me there, Shane. But in January, we got a call from Tiger football player Andre Copeland, who had just made a commitment to play next year at the University of South Florida.
Basically, I only had like really 3 schools after me. That was Clemson, Syracuse, and South Florida. But I went to my first visit to Clemson, and I really liked the campus and things and whatever. So I felt like that was going to be the place for me, but things didn't work out. So, and I felt like me and my mom was too close for me to go to Syracuse, and I wouldn't be able to come home but maybe like twice a year. So I didn't feel like that would work out.
Right.
And so I went on ahead and made the commitment to South Florida, and I feel like I made the right decision because I'm the only running back that have committed to the school, and they only have like 3 running backs returning, and 2 of them are like fullbacks. So I only be competing with 1 guy. So
we also had a preview of this year's CHS girls weightlifting team and the Tiger wrestling team.
Just 6 days before the Super Bowl in New Orleans, we got a call from Carolina Panthers linebacker Brian Allen. Brian, as you know, played high school ball here at Columbia High and later at Florida State.
Well, I think it's going to be staying fundamentally sound. I think if you look at what we've done in the playoffs thus far, we've gone from having like a -7 turnover ratio to now being in the plus category in that area, and I think that's been huge for us in the playoffs. I mean, it seems like we've become a different ball club in the playoff atmosphere, and I think that's going to be the key Sunday night against the Patriots, is being mistake-free on offense and defense, capitalize when the Patriots make some of the few mistakes that they make.
In February, we went to Lake City Middle School to shoot the video of the basketball game between the Falcons and Richardson Middle School Timberwolves. We were all amazed at the performance of the Wolves, who at one time led by more than 30 points at halftime.
On National Signing Day, 7 Columbia High players signed football scholarships to play ball next season. The event was held in the CHS gym and is the most players to sign scholarships from one senior class in the history of the school.
In February, the college and high school baseball and softball seasons got underway. We had a preview of the Tigers and the Lake City Community College baseball teams. The Tigers won the district title, and the Timberwolves won 11 of their last 12 games to qualify for the state playoffs. Unfortunately, both teams were eliminated during the state competition. The Lady Indians and the Lady Tigers had competitive teams, but were unable to compete in the postseason as well.
Each week, Shane and I take part in a bowling league with the teachers and staff from county schools. We showed some video of our form at the bowling alley and showed how much fun everyone has. Shane and I also ran down our predictions for the Final Four. Let's jump in, finish up NCAA bracket of Final Fours.
Well, Trey, obviously I got my Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets going to the Final Four. They're going to beat Kentucky, who I think you might like, and then I have Duke in the other bracket, and then Oklahoma State and UConn. I have UConn as a young man with a back injury. He's going to come back ready to play.
And he is a man.
That's right.
And Ben Gordon's been playing well for them too. I got Kentucky, Oklahoma State, Duke, and UConn. Who do you have winning it all?
Well, obviously, I'm going to go with Georgia Tech because I said it from the get-go. I think Georgia Tech's going to sneak up on all these people, and they're going to get in, and they're going to win the ball game.
Well, I'm going to go with Connecticut, or UConn against Kentucky, and my boy Tubby Smith's going to get it done.
In March, the Gator Nationals came to Gainesville. We had this piece on the big race in the Gainesville Raceway and showed the top fuels and the funny cars competing.
In April, PGA pro Bob Gilder called the show to give us his impressions of Augusta National.
Well, it's probably one of the most beautiful places on earth. It's just one of the prettiest areas I've ever been to as far as golf course design, and it's just a gorgeous atmosphere.
In April, I had a chance to travel to Orlando to attend an Orlando Magic Chicago Bulls game. I also had a chance to talk with legendary Bulls and one of my favorite players, Scottie Pippen.
It's great to be back in Chicago and part of this organization. Hopefully in years to come that we can get ourselves back in a position to be a contender again.
In April, the entire In the Zone staff took our cameras to the Southern Oaks Country Club, where we spoke to the organizers of the SNS Food Store Charity Golf Tournament. Trey and I also had some putting tips from the club pro, Harold Hoover.
and you can work all the way around the hole doing that, then progressively get further away. That's one of the best ways to putt. It builds confidence. It makes you concentrate on the line and the distance. And distance is probably the most important factor once you get 5 feet or beyond.
It's got to be the putter.
Yeah,
it's got to be the putter.
I haven't seen you make 3 in a row like that.
There we go. It's that easy. Learning from a pro at Southern Oaks Country Club.
On April 26th, the new head coach of the Tiger football team was our guest on the show. Scott Anderson spoke about the Tigers in 2004.
Offensively, I really like to spread things out and most importantly, get our best players on the field. And we're going to build our offense around the talent of our players year to year. It may vary a little bit and look different just because we're going to feature different parts based on who the best guys are. Obviously, when you run the ball well, the play-action pass can produce some big plays for you. It was exciting in interviewing for the position and researching it that it sounds like for at least the next 4 years there's high-caliber quarterbacks in the program, and we're excited about building on their strengths. I know there are guys here that can run, but we're going to continue to positively build on the many good things Coach Green did defensively.
And in May, Bobby Bowden and Ron Zook made appearances in Lake City to talk about their booster clubs.
From fans when you do these things? Are they looking for next year? Or we want to beat Miami this coming year?
Well, yeah, they want to beat everybody. Right. They don't want to lose no games, just like us. But it's a year where we can talk about next year and what to expect and what kind of team we kind of have coming back. And they're the first ones to get the news, and so it's just something we've done ever since I've been here, and everybody expects it.
The first time we've actually had the quarterback that went through the fall and then into the spring. Even though we had a lot of guys, it was their first spring, it's still, they had been through the system, and so I feel like we really got a lot accomplished. And
we have to take a break right now. We'll be back to wrap up the final show of 2004. This is In the Zone on Lake City Community College Television and the X.
I can listen. I can cook.
Good. I can coach.
Kids with something to do are less likely to do drugs.
I can drive.
I can paint.
I can dance.
A little of your time can make a lifetime of difference.
I can read.
I can help. You can help. Call toll-free 1-877-KIDS-313 to find out about community drug prevention programs.
This message brought to you by Project Catch.
I love Florida.
So I take care of it.
By recycling.
All the time.
Not just at home.
But wherever I am.
We recycle at school. Everywhere I go, I find a way.
I recycle.
Everybody should.
We've got a lot to love and a lot to lose.
Step up. Be an environmental citizen.
Welcome back to the show. Well, Trey, that's it for this year. I'd like to thank Brian Sports and Brooks Etheridge for the great things that they did for the show. We appreciate their sponsorships, the set and everything. Thank you guys very much.
If you have questions or comments about the show, you can email us. Just go to the Project Catch website at www.projectcatch.org, or you can call the Project Catch office at 755-8192. We're out of time. Thanks most all of you for viewing our show this year and making In the Zone a success.
Well, Trey, again, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you for another year of In the Zone next year.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks for watching In the Zone. Join Shane and Trey next week for another edition of In the Zone. If you would like to nominate someone to be featured in our Character Spotlight, write to Project Catch at Columbia County Schools, 409 Southwest St. John Street, Lake City, Florida 32025. Or log on to the Project Catch website at www.projectcatch.org. Set furnishings provided by Etheridge Furniture, Southwest Main Boulevard. Set decorations provided by Bryant Sports, US 90 West.